From the outside, a training program often looks deceptively simple: a set of slides, a participant handbook, maybe a workbook, and a trainer who knows their stuff. From the inside, building a serious training program, one that is repeatable, defensible, scalable, and certifiable, is a completely different experience. Designing the MC3 method training programs has been less about creating content and more about engineering a system. And that distinction changes everything. Training is not content. It's a controlled system. One of the biggest misconceptions in the training world is that expertise alone is enough. It isn't. For MC3, every training module must sit inside a documentation architecture with clear boundaries. What this level is allowed to teach. What it must not teach. What is awareness versus application? What is explanation versus interpretation? What belongs to the book, and what belongs to the training? Without those boundaries, a program becomes vulnerable to dilution, to inconsistency, to misrepresentation, and ultimately, to loss of intellectual property control. That's why MC3 is built like a document-controlled system, not a collection of workshops. The hardest part, saying no to good content. One of the most challenging parts of building MC3 training has been resisting the temptation to include everything I know. When you're an expert, the risk is not lack of content, it's overreach. Every time I drafted a slide, a participant exercise, or a trainer script, I had to ask, does this belong at this level? Is this explanation, or is it application? Am I teaching insight, or am I leaking practitioner-level material? Is this reinforcing the MC3 framework, or drifting into general communication advice? Many strong pieces of content were deliberately removed, parked, or frozen, not because they weren't useful, but because they violated the system boundaries. That discipline is uncomfortable. It's also what makes MC3 defensible. Alignment across book, slides, trainer script, and participant manual. Another underestimated challenge is cross-document alignment. In MC3, the training is book-based. That means the book defines the canonical terminology. The training expands, contextualizes, and anchors it. The participant manual follows the training flow, not the trainer's improvisation. The trainer manual must be fully written out, not assumed knowledge. If even one of those drifts out of alignment, the system breaks. This is why MC3 development involved constant cross-checking against published page numbers, terminology scans against a fixed glossary, conflict scans to remove ambiguous phrasing, decisions about what must be explicitly framed versus what must be withheld. It is slow. It is meticulous. And it is the opposite of quick course creation. Why most training can't be licensed, and MC3 can. Most training programs can't be licensed safely because they rely on trainer personality, tacit knowledge, informal interpretation, undocumented assumptions. MC3 deliberately removes those risks. Every certified level is designed so that trainers cannot drift beyond their license. Participants know exactly what they are being trained to do. Assessment and attendance outcomes are clearly separated. IP boundaries are enforceable. That requires documentation discipline most trainers never experience, but it's also what enables MC3 to scale without losing integrity. The emotional reality no one talks about. There's another side to this work that doesn't show up in diagrams or registers. Building a system like this is mentally demanding, repetitive, often invisible, and deeply unglamorous. There are days where the work consists entirely of checking wording, renumbering documents, freezing versions, rejecting almost right material. But this is the cost of creating something that lasts. Not a course. Not a program. A method. Why this matters to clients, even if they never see the back end. Most clients will never see the document control registers, the frozen versions, or the internal architecture. What they will experience is clarity, confidence, consistency, and a framework that actually holds under pressure. That's not accidental. It's designed. And it's why MC3 is not positioned as a communication training, but as a risk-aware, system-based method for multilingual and multicultural environments.